Hello Techies, welcome back to our channel UiPath by Sujitha. In this video, we are going to learn about the most important concept, that is tracepoints and conditional tracepoints in UiPath Studio. We have learned about breakpoints, conditional breakpoints, how to use them, and many debugging actions which are available in debug ribbon and all, right, in UiPath Studio in our previous videos. If you have not yet seen those videos, please do watch those videos to get more confidence on those concepts. Right, now we are going to see about tracepoints and conditional tracepoints. Why we need tracepoints and conditional tracepoints, and how to use tracepoints, how to create the tracepoints and all, right? Now, please take your notebook or notepad and please note at least the high level key points so that it will be easy for you if you want to refer it again when it is needed. Never learn the concept just for the purpose of interview. Don't go with interview perspective. Rather, it is always advisable to know the concept in deep so that it will help you in your career growth. Okay, so now let us move on to this tracepoints. What is a tracepoint? Before that, let us recap the breakpoint. We will be using breakpoint in order to pause our debugger, in order to pause the executor while debugging any automated process, so that it helps the developer to analyze the issue, right? So whenever we need to break or whenever we need to pause the executor while debugging, we need breakpoint. Now, what is tracepoint? Tracepoint is nothing but a breakpoint. Tracepoint is a simple breakpoint. Tracepoint is a simple breakpoint with log message. Okay, so when we set a log message to a simple breakpoint, it works as a tracepoint. Simple, right? Very clear. Now let me please take a note of this. Now let me add you one more point here. Tracepoints and conditional tracepoints. Excuse me. Yes, when the tracepoint is reached during debugging, what happens? Yeah, the message is logged at trace level. So you might have understood this concept, right? So whenever the debugger finds a tracepoint, the message whatever we add in the tracepoint will be logged at the trace level. Now there is one more thing to know here is there are two states in tracepoint. Two states are there. What are those? Enabled state and disabled state. Okay, so we have two states in tracepoints. Those are enabled and disabled. Now let us quickly open our studio in order to find what exactly the tracepoints are and how to create the tracepoints, right? Now I have I just opened the existing project with me, so please do the same along with me. You just please open your studio and navigate how I'm going to show this tracepoint and all, so that it will be easy to remember, and when time comes you will automatically start using it, right? So the purpose of this particular project is I have an Excel file where I have multiple columns in this. I'm just concentrating on the first two columns, first name and last name. Using the first two columns, I'm going to generate the full name. So I'm appending first name and last name. I'm concatenating both these rows and then creating a full name. Okay. So for that I have used a read range. I just read the complete data from the Excel file into a data table. Okay, dt underscore values, and then I am using for each row in data table where I'm traversing through each and every row in order to generate the full name. Okay, so now let us have few debug points, that means breakpoints, where you could see at top left corner there are 3 tabs: home, design and debug. So just navigate to the debug one. So in that you could see breakpoint. So select the activity which you want to have to set the breakpoint. Just click on the breakpoint. This is clear, right? So you know how to do this. So this resembles that this has a breakpoint. So the executor will pause here at this activity highlighting this, right? Now when I start debugging, let me start debugging this. Let us see. I could see the breakpoints window panel where I can see the details of this particular breakpoints, right? This is the breakpoints panel. You could see here, right? And this is what I'm going to talk about. So if I select one more breakpoint for each row, right? Those details are getting added here in the list in breakpoints, right? So here there are multiple columns: activity name, file path, condition and log message. Condition we have covered. When we used to have a condition on breakpoint, it converts into a conditional breakpoint, right? We already worked on this. If you want to know more about these conditional breakpoints, please do watch our conditional breakpoints video. For now, the purpose of this video is to work on this log message. There is one more column called log message. This is what is going to be used for trace points. Okay. So now how to create the trace point, right? There are 2 ways. Either you can use this gear symbol. See, you can see the gear symbol, right? For each row there is a gear symbol. Just click on this so that you can get the breakpoint settings. Here we have 3 fields: condition, hit count and log message. Condition and hit count we already learned about this. Condition we use to stop the execution, to pause the execution or the debugging when the condition is met, right? In order to make the breakpoint as a conditional breakpoint, right? So hit count as well, it stops, it pauses the debugger at the nth time it passes the condition. So that means second, right? So suppose I give some 2 here. Second time it is going to check for the condition, and if the condition is true, then it will pause at that particular breakpoint. Now forget about these 2. Let us concentrate on this log message. If I give a log message here, say suppose read range activity been triggered. Okay, so I have given a message here. Now I am just saving this. You could notice the change in the icon, right? It is into a diamond shape now, right? This is nothing but a trace point. We have, you could see the log message which is saved here. So we have converted the breakpoint into a trace point. What it will do, it will log the message whatever we have given at trace level when it is triggered. Okay, now let us restart this debugging. Right, let me restart this so that you will come to know how it is working. So it is executing now. Since that it got the, just scroll me up, yeah, now it has a breakpoint with a log message. It has paused the execution right here. Now let us go to output panel, right, and you could see the message whatever we added, the log message been saved in the trace level right here. Read range activity been triggered. Now let me just show you one more thing. Go back to breakpoints and click on the gear symbol. There is an option called continue execution when logging. If I check this one, if I use this checkbox, it will not pause the debugger, the executor at this particular activity. It will continue execution without pausing it here. Let us see that in real, how it works. See, it moved on to the next breakpoint, right? It has not paused the executor at this particular breakpoint. Why? Since that we have used this continue execution when logging. This is what in simple about the trace points. Now coming back to our, there is one more thing called as conditional trace points. What is conditional trace points? Can anyone guess? Yes, you are right. Similar to the breakpoints, if we have a condition to a trace point, then it is nothing but a conditional trace points, right? Now let us make quick notes on this for our easy understanding, right? Conditional trace points are nothing but the conditional breakpoints with set logged messages. Here trace points are nothing but a simple breakpoint with log message. Here the conditional breakpoints with log messages are called as conditional trace points, right? So the when this will be getting triggered, these will be triggered only if the condition is met. Only if the condition is met, right? That is the key difference between these trace points and the conditional trace points. Now quickly move on to our studio to find how to create a conditional trace points. So see, this is a normal trace point, right? If you add a condition to this, how it works as, it will work as a conditional trace point. Let me add one condition here. Say for example, if I'll add the conditional trace point for each row. Okay, let me use this. I'm going to add a condition to this breakpoint. You could see the difference, right? This is breakpoint symbol. So this is a breakpoint where I'm adding a condition. My condition is going to be, let me open the Excel file to show you what I'm going to use as a condition. Let me open this challenge.xls. Here there is a column called first name. I want to use this value Jane. Okay, if the first name is Jane, I would like to add this as a condition. So if the first name, let me add this here. So I would like to go for, this one. Yes. Current row dot item. It is not showing. Okay, current row has not yet completed, right? Then I'll do one thing. I'll set at this assign. I'll add a breakpoint at assign, and I'll add a condition to the breakpoint at assign activity. Okay. Now see, current row dot item of first name. What is this first name? First name dot to string equals Jane. Okay, if the first name value is equals to Jane, then this needs to be triggered. This particular breakpoint needs to be triggered. Otherwise, it will go to the next activity. This is my condition. So you know this conditional breakpoints, right? So how to make this to a conditional trace point when we add a log message to a conditional? Let me save this. You could see this assign activity has a conditional breakpoint, right? Now, when I add a log message to this conditional breakpoint, let me add it, reached assign activity inside the for each row. Okay, this is my log message. On just concentrate here. So on click of OK, this been converted into a conditional trace point. You found the difference, right? This is a breakpoint and this is a trace point, and on top of the conditional breakpoint I have added one more additional thing, that is log message, which converted the conditional breakpoint to a conditional trace point. Simple, right? So when there is a condition in the breakpoint, it is called a conditional breakpoint. When there is a log message in a breakpoint, it is called a trace point. When there is a log message in condition, that is called as a conditional trace point. Simple, very simple, right? So now let us see how to execute this. Let me add a breakpoint and let me copy the same thing here so that I'll show you one difference. Very clear. That's it. So you could see 4 different icons. First one is trace point, next conditional trace point, conditional breakpoint and breakpoint. Clear? Now let us restart our debugging. And you could find the difference how this conditional trace point will trigger. It is very similar to the conditional breakpoint, right? So it will get triggered only if the condition is met. Same way, trace point also, the log message will be added to the trace level only if the condition is met. Let us see it reach it till here, because this particular log message we have selected, where is this read range, we have selected the checkbox, right? Yes, that is the reason it has not yet been paused at this particular trace point. Now let us continue. When I use continue, what is happening? Equals chain executed written. Okay, I think the name is not the correct one. Let me let me just open the file and see. So yeah, this is the mistake actually. The column name has some space here which we missed out. Let me use this properly in our this one. Okay, in the condition, right? Very good. First name, let me, this is the one which I have used, right? This is correct. And similarly in the, okay, here also, perfect, right? Now let me stop this and then use it again. Perfect. Yes, just one more minute to close this video. You could see that, yeah, this been okay. Let us continue this. Continue. Oh, it's been opened, so it got, okay, let me close this. It's my fault. Okay, fine. Don't save it. Right, now let us start this. Right, since that I have worked the read range workbook, when I open the Excel file, it will not execute since it is a workbook. Okay, now you could see here in the Outlook panel, read range activity been triggered, even though it is not paused at this particular one because we have used the checkbox, right? Now it worked as a breakpoint at for each row. Now it will be, instead of going and pausing it here, it will check for the condition, right? See, condition is there, that is current row item's first name should be equal to Jane, whereas the Jane is in second row, right? So it is not supposed to stop it here. Let us continue, right? Reached the assign activity because it has, okay, inside the for each row. Okay, let us continue this again. Right line. Okay, perfect. Right, this way whenever we add a log message into a conditional breakpoint, it works as a conditional trace point, and whenever we add a log message to the breakpoint, simple breakpoint, it works as a trace point. So clear? So this we use to analyze the messages or to analyze the bugs when we debug, because these are going to be saved at trace level. Okay, I hope you got a clear understanding on trace points and conditional trace points along with the icons, because there are 4 different icons with different symbols and all, right? So if you like this video, please do share with your friends and colleagues too, and please do subscribe our channel. Meet you through our next videos. Till then, happy learning and happy automating. Bye bye.